pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Ricmotech Performance Sim Racing Equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome to picturesque Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada, and race number 1 of round number 2, the Elite 8 of the Ricmotech Truck Series from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tony Trapasso. He's David Motorspot. And Dave, this track on the map looks relatively simple until you get on this track and realize there's more elevation change here than a roller coaster.
Certainly watching these drivers throughout practice here taking their hot laps. And as you mentioned, looking at the map, looks like it'd be a pretty simple track to navigate your way around, but tons of elevation change here and could make a great race and a great challenge for these drivers.
Especially if you take a look dead smack center of the bottom of that track map, where it starts to head back up. That's 2 and 2A at the top of that little hump there. Going into 2, not too bad. Going into 2A, you better have the truck slowed down before you get to 2. That's where everybody's been having problems tonight, just putting it off in the grass. And it's downhill, it's slick grass, and there's an Armco that you're going to hit. But taking a quick look at the, we'll get into that during qualifying, but taking a quick look at the weather. 76 degree ambient air temperature, 69% water grain in the air, under partly cloudy skies with an 8-mile-an-hour wind out of the northeast. So, it's going to wreak a little havoc, especially coming into the final couple of corners, as they are downhill, off camber, and you've got a tailwind. So that's usually a recipe for disaster. But track temperature only 90 degrees. That's nowhere near as hot as we've seen it as of late, Dave.
Nice, cool track temperature compared to some other tracks that we've been at here in Canada. So, keeping this track nice and cool should help these drivers keep a handle on things and hopefully keep those trucks under control tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be the key to success here tonight. Is you've got to keep that truck. You got to race the track more than you've got to race the other cars around you. Taking a quick look at the point standings coming into tonight: Mike Rominger, Ed Morris, Michael Thwaites, Chad Osborne, Justin Lemke, David Calo, Dylan Morondo, Robert Haynes, Josh Wren, and Kerry Cleaver, rounding out your field of 8 that have moved on here to the second round. And you and I were talking earlier, we're missing 2 already, as Osborne and Haynes both not making the call yet tonight.
We have not seen those drivers as of yet, but I would expect a couple of those drivers out here seem like they showed up late in the last couple of weeks. I think that Haynes especially is one of those drivers that's capable of coming in late to this session and really just making his mark, throwing those laps down quick and fast.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're taking a look at the man who swept round 1 of the playoffs, Mike Rominger, won both rounds to get his 3rd win on the season. And he won. We found out it wasn't just 2 straight wins. Yes, he swept the first round of the playoffs. He went in with as much momentum as you can get, as he won Talladega just before we went into the playoffs. So 3 straight wins for the Ford team. They're looking to expand on that and, really make a statement here tonight in beautiful Ontario, Canada. And
keeping that momentum rolling, laying down his first lap here. Excited to see what he can do and see if he can go back to back to back to back here.
Absolutely. Let's go on board with Rominger. And this is what he's having to deal with. Slightly off camber coming into the double apex hairpin here at the west end of the track. And your full tilt boogie until you really get to, I believe that's 8. And the braking zone starts just as you crest that hill. Dave, that's usually not a ton of fun.
Braking zone just coming up over the crest of a hill. Lots of things to think about for these drivers. Your truck's a little bit unsettled as you're coming up over the hill, hitting those braking zones, trying to remember each braking zone, each turn, uphill, downhill, left, right.
And he's coming up
Should
on that.
certainly make it an interesting challenge.
And he's coming up on that section we were talking about, the 2A complex, because you're cresting a hill coming out of 2, going into 2A. It's so easy to get it wrong through there. Rominger, though, nice tidy line so far. Ed Morris currently sits atop of the heap, as there is Morris in the prime time number 7. Lemke running Logitech colors here tonight, I think. Helps if my trading paints would reload at all for me, because I believe he's normally in a different livery. Now that's going to negate that lap for Lemke. So second quick, all he's going to be able to manage. It's Eric Driggins in the McDonald's whip tonight. Getting it all wrong on lap 2. And Morondo finishes his laps, improves to 4th. Solid run. There is Kilo, representing High Point, North Carolina. Ooh, that off camber got him again. That means Nick Caldwell, the only one left out on track. Still waiting on Chad Osborne did make the call. So congratulations to Chad. You showed up. It's half the battle. Here we see Nick Caldwell, though, in the 13 out of Morgantown, West by God, Virginia. I got to say it right because I got a buddy from there that always rips on me for getting it wrong. Caldwell, a nice tidy line so far. Coming into the final couple of corners, these switchbacks can get pretty hairy, as it is off camber a little bit coming through there. And across the line for Caldwell. Does improve his time, does not improve his position. Mike Rominger just putting around out there, just turning laps to finalize the way he's able to see this track. You know, and Dave, I can't say I blame him for doing this.
Not at all. Getting some experience, kind of understanding how the truck's going to feel. As we mentioned previously in other weeks, seeing a couple of these drivers take advantage of iRacing's solo session for qualifying. It really just gives you an opportunity to kind of feel out some tire runs, understand how the truck's going to handle under some different conditions, and it's qualifying. So you're on your own. You've got all that track to yourself. Might as well use it to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you start looking for lines or looking, you know, to double check your braking zones and get those last minute, okay, at this part of the track, I got to be doing this, and at this part of the track, I got to be doing that. So, yeah, use it if you got it. We got about 2.5 minutes left, which for Wren and Osborne will be just enough time to get one lap in, I think.
Should be enough to get an entire outlap in, and then should complete a timed lap, but it would be cutting it very close.
And as we go closer to the 2-minute mark, that is now a distant memory of being able to be possible. Because if you're not already out on track, you're not getting a timed lap in. Mike, the dirt track's up the road, bud. Coming through there, doing a 4-corner drift like he was at Eldora. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Tuesday evening. We would not be here without you folks watching. While you're watching, don't forget to give these videos a thumbs up. It really does help us share these with the YouTube algorithm. The more thumbs up a video gets, the more likely it is to be shared around the YouTube universe. When someone logs into their homepage of, hey, you might like to watch this. Well, Mr. YouTube, you're right. I do want to watch this. And we're going to watch it live. As I'm sure some of the racers are going to go back post-race and, you know, watch between them, as, you know, they've had watch parties before. So very cool things happening post-race. But Morris currently sits quick time, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to bump him off right now. So congratulations to Ed Morris, the pride of Bloomingdale, Georgia, setting quick time here tonight with a 1:23.67, 0.2 quicker than anyone else. Actually, I take that back.
Certainly a fast lap, but a whole second and 2/10 faster than
I
Lemke there.
just realized what I was looking at. Thank you, Dave.
Not a problem, Tony. And excited to see what's going to happen here tonight. Of course, with these qualifying times, seeing the middle of the field actually being very close here right now based on their qualifying time. So I expect some battles midway through this pack. And then, of course, with Wren and Osborne not laying down a qualifying lap, we will certainly have an interesting show to see if they're going to try to make their way up through the field early or kind of hang back, feel everybody out, and get a feel for this track before they really start making their moves.
Well, the thing is, you really have to be mindful of this place because you can't get too far behind. But the good news is, we did receive word that they are going to have a competition caution around lap 15 for the stage break. Take a quick look at our starting field for tonight. 10 trucks making the call. Ed Morris in the prime time, number 7, goes quick time, 23.675. And as Dave mentioned, a full second and 2/10 quicker than Justin Lemke, who really, he was on one on that qualifying attempt. It was a solid run out of Lemke for qualifying here at Mosport. Michael Thwaites and Dylan Morondo are going to roll it from road number 2. Mike Rominger, the man who swept the first round and has won the last 3 races in this series, going to start about mid-pack in 5th. He's going to be joined with David Calo in the 15 in road number 3. Row 4, Nick Caldwell and Eric Driggins. And rounding out the field shotgun in row number 5, Josh Wren and Chad Osborne, both of them not laying times here in the qualifying session. As we get right down to it, everybody gridded up on the front stretch. It's going to be one out lap. And then we fire them off for, I believe it's 45 laps here tonight.
Indeed,
yes,
it
it is.
Tony.
Just waiting on the 12 with Thwaites to grid up. There he is, and here we go. And Dave, it's got to be a little unnerving for these crews. I remember when we used to go to Watkins Glen, it was a similar thing with pit road being on the opposite side of the track that it normally is. And pitting the car backwards could sometimes throw off some guys' rhythms. This race is really going to come down to what the pit crews can do.
Really does change your rhythm, as you mentioned, as a pit crew member going up over the wall. Week to week, you're so used to doing things one way, and fuel man, of course, has to run all the way across the car with you now, so adding an extra body on the far side of the car while making some changes, certainly shifting up the rhythm. Some teams electing to continue to do the stop the same way that they always have, do the right side first, then go over to the left side. But certainly will make a difference here, depending on how those teams decide to manage that. No better teams to really look at than the 7 machine, 35 machine. These guys up front, they're going to have that front pit box, and they're really going to set the example of what you should be doing on pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, what we used to do, just to make things easier, if you normally were the front tire carrier and changer, you came to the backside of the car in weeks where the pit road was backwards. And vice versa at the other end of the car. If you're normally doing the back tires, you're now doing the fronts. So that way you're still going the same direction around the wall, so you're still hitting basically the same marks. It's just you've got a different end of the car you're staring at, that's all. So 45 laps of scheduled distance here tonight. The stage break will happen at the conclusion of lap 15. He's David Motorsport. I'm Tony Trapasser. Reminding ladies and gentlemen that you're not going to want to miss a moment of action here on Sim Racing Media, as we have racing 7 nights a week, and we've got a special one coming up this coming Saturday, a full-length Daytona 500. I'm kind of I'm forward to that one, and I believe here we go. Pace car is in. The only thing left to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab the poutine. It's time to get it on in Canada, eh? Race fans, it's showtime! Oh, what just happened to David Calo and the 14 of Josh Wren? Calo has already hand grenaded the engine. Let's go back and take a look at what happened there. As that was coming through the 2 and 2A complex. Everybody makes it through turn 1 pretty safe. Morris a little sideways, but keep your eye on that truck on the inside. Catch the braking zone all wrong, hand grenades it, Wren nowhere to go, blast Calo. And just like that, both those guys are having issues. Caldwell having issues as well. Take a look at what did happen to the 13 here. Looks like he may have caught a piece of that. Just a little too aggressive. Nobody hit Caldwell, though, so that's the good news for Nick. However, David Calo and Josh Wren both having serious issues right now. And there you see Calo had to tow it back to pits. Meanwhile, up in front, Ed Morris currently shows the way. Wren was able to limp it back around to pits. And field already getting a little bit strung out between the haves and have-nots here on the road course. Eric Driggins going for a ride. That's that 2-2A complex again.
Drivers certainly trying to get a feel for what this track feels like in some of that dirty air. Didn't see them too close during their hot laps here, so getting a feel and an experience for what it's like to race around these other drivers. Of course, there at the start we were going too wide into some of those turns, so definitely a different experience from what they were used to seeing in their hot lap.
Yeah, absolutely is. Oh no. Mike Rominger, what did you do? Okay. So this is the replay. That's Rominger and Driggins running nose to tail right there. Looks like Rominger. Oh yeah, there it is. There goes Driggins off track. Rominger's gonna have problems a couple corners later. We go back live. Your biggest mover right now is that man in the TRD 24. And of course, is Chad Osborne coming into tonight. Had a good crack at that championship. Still has one, I believe. Yes, he does. Coming tonight is the 4th seed. 2003 points, so only 5 markers away from Mike Rominger, who comes in leading the points with 2 wins in the past 3 wins in the past 3 weeks. Ed Morris drops to 2nd in points for the first time this season, so definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on. As Rominger is back there in 7th, and Morris is the first man tonight to go sub 1 minute 25. And he's actually flirting with a sub 1 minute 24 here in race trim. That's impressive, Dave.
Certainly is, and we saw him lay his time during qualifying going sub 124, so I actually think he might be holding it a little bit back here. Knows he has a gap behind him, so no real pressure, but seeing names like Osborne kind of start working their way up through the field, I think he's taking some mental notes right now, just driving it nice and easy, hitting those marks, but keeping an eye on those trucks behind him, seeing what they're going to do, seeing if anybody has anything in the tank for him at this track.
And that's one of the rare mistakes we've seen out of Morris, that double apex, catching him all off guard. Pulls the trigger, and down the back chute he comes. You're, again, full tilt boogie through this section right until you get to over that next hill. And that's where the braking zone starts. And this is where the great folks at Ricmotech really come in handy. They have force feedback brake pedals and accelerator pedals. And, you know, really on a road course, you need that more so than on the ovals. But, you know, you definitely need a force feedback brake pedal here on the road courses to really just wring the most out of the vehicle. And you can find that over at ricmotech.com. And thanks to fine folks over there for putting up the money for this league. You know, Dave, we had a chance to go there last October for the company trip to Miami Homestead, and you know they welcomed us in. It wasn't that far before close, but they still, you know, they let us play on some of the full motion rigs there. If I'm telling you, Dave, if you ever get the chance and you're in Miami, you need to swing by the Ricmotech headquarters.
Lots of gear, lots of accessories, and don't have experience in a full motion rig, but as you mentioned, those force feedback pedals, all the accessories and things that they carry, great assets for a driver, especially when it comes to road course racing. And of course, if you're interested in getting into iRacing, looking at some accessories, Ricmotech has you covered. All the great gear, headsets, steering wheels, pedals, rigs, anything you can think of. It seems like they have something for you and can certainly point you in the right direction to get you going.
Absolutely. Making things better for the sim racing community for quite a few years now. One of the most respected names in the game. And I say that flippantly when I say a game, it's a simulator. And Ricmotech is, you know, it's the benchmark that all other companies have to, you know, to really measure themselves against. As right now we're watching this battle for second, third, and fourth as they all run stem to stern. Justin Lemke is in the Logitech. I would call that a Holstein cow paint scheme, the black and white. But Michael Thwaites sitting right there stalking him. Thwaites, you know, by virtue of, I believe he went 3 straight podium finishes in the past 3 weeks as well.
Certainly had some great finishes over the last couple of weeks, and Thwaites, another one of those drivers that didn't have the greatest of luck early on in this season. I mean, he still did okay. He made some good finishes, but certainly late in this season, turning the heat up, just making sure he did what he needed to do, and now, of course, reaping the benefits and seeing himself up in contention for that championship.
Absolutely, as he's giving Justin Lemke all he can handle right now. Thwaites' Chevy all over the tailgate of that Toyota of Lemke as they're hustling it right now, and coming into the final corner, it looks like Thwaites is just he's not trying to really push the issue yet, but you can tell that he's hungry. He wants to get up there.
Certainly going for the approach that I like to push at road courses. I'm just going to fill this guy's rear view mirror and wait for them to make a mistake. Road courses are so difficult as it is. If I can just make that guy look up in his rear view mirror a couple more times, get him to make a mistake, I can make the easy pass while he's off turn.
That's the way that, you know, that's the way it's done usually. Because we're about halfway through this first stage. Ed Morris has carved out an almost 9.5 second lead over this battle per second between Lemke and Thwaites. And you can't help but think that with Thwaites giving Lemke as much pressure as he is, that's costing both of them just a little bit of pace.
Certainly costing them some pace, but with Morris, of course, laying down that fast lap, still having a great advantage. Looks like he's running somewhere around 1 second faster than just about every other driver on track right now. So Morris having something figured out. The only driver that looks like he might have something for him, mired back in 5th right now. That Chad Osborne machine just ran a 124.3. Morris, of course, running a 124 flat almost at this point, but he's not keeping an eye on things. This field gets restacked. Osborne might just have something for our leader.
You know, you figure Osborne had to start dead spanking last in this piece after missing the drivers' meeting and have to they weren't allowing the drivers that missed the drivers' meeting to take part in qualifying. So definitely something that Morris has got to be, you know, a little bit concerned. I guarantee you he's got someone up on top of the pit box right now letting him know what Osborne is doing, and they've got to be letting him know that Osborne's coming and in a hurry. As we go back to this battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Lemke, Thwaites, Morando still run stem to stern as Osborne just steadily starts reeling these guys in ever so slightly. And I like what Lemke's doing through here. He's running a pretty defensive line, not really giving Thwaites a lane on either side to get by. But he's hitting his marks too, and that's something Lemke has struggled with on the oval side of things. He's hitting those marks. But he is dialed tonight. I guarantee you he put a ton of laps in this past week.
As mentioned, running that defensive line might not be close to what his optimal line is, but certainly able to hold off that 12 machine. It's all about making those clean laps and making sure you don't make a mistake, give that 12 the easy pass. So Thwaites has his work cut out for him. Looks like that 35 really did some practice this week and knows exactly where he needs to run to keep that 12 machine behind.
You're absolutely right. And there aren't really any road course ringers in this field tonight. I mean, the closest thing you could consider would be Osborne, Lemke, and Morris, as they're the only ones that are north of 1,200 iRating here on the paved road side of things. Meanwhile, we're working lap 9. Josh Wren just had big issues. He crashed somewhere. Let's go back and take a look at what happened to the 21. Sorry, the 14. A little bit of tail wag there coming out of the corner. That's that 2-2A. And oi. Double apex. And around she goes. I mean, that double apex, it looks simple on paper. You try running it, and you find out real quick that the second double apex of that double apex is an off-camber downhill. Definitely not something you want to be lackadaisical about. So currently 7 trucks left on the lead lap. Only 2 retirements to speak of in the form of David Coulot, who just completely annihilated his truck on the first lap, and Nick Caldwell, who has had problems. Gets the show-up points. Unfortunately, Nick got eliminated last week. Where were we, Atlanta?
Last week was... I will be back with you in just a second, Tony.
Okay.
Struggling to remember.
I do 7 of these a week now, and I can barely remember what I had for breakfast most days. But what was a 3-truck dance is now quickly turning into a 4-truck dance for 2nd, 3rd, 4th. As Chad Osborne has caught these guys, is right now Morando and Lemke going door to door. Thwaites was finally able to get by Lemke, and now Morando giving him all sorts of pressure as we are 5 to go here in stage 1.
Taking a look back at our standings from last week, we were at Iowa, of course, that 4 machine of Rominger getting it done there. So great way to move into round two, coming here to a road course. As you mentioned, no real ringers to speak of within the field, but certainly a big change-up for these drivers as they're used to racing around those oval tracks.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct on that one, Dave. You know, and that's what I love about this league is, you know, there's some wild cards, wild card races coming up here. As let me just pull up the schedule like you just did. As next week we're at Bristol, and then we close things out at Michigan and Phoenix. And so this is definitely, you can't relax. If you relax, you're not coming home with a championship this season, because there are still 8 heavy hitters left in the playoffs, and you know, any one of the 8 that are left could, you know, grab a win at just about any time. Although, had you told me when we started the season that Chad Osborne was going to come into the playoffs winless, I would have told you you were insane. But here we are, second round of the playoffs, and Osborne is still got the goose egg in the win column. But 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s. And, you know, he's still mathematically in it. And he's got a real strong Toyota here tonight at Motorsports.
Osborne using the advantage of those finishes to point his way into the playoffs, but certainly looking hungry out there tonight, laying the times down, coming from the back of the field. Now up here with our second, third, and fourth place drivers, worked his way all the way back up to them, and certainly has the lap times, I believe, to compete with our leader, Ed Morris Jr., if he can get by these trucks.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now he's got to get by this duo here in third and fourth, in the form of Justin Lemke in the 35, Dylan Mirando in the 27. And that, I believe, was Josh Wren parked off the track in the grass. He now gets that thing pointed back straight. Wren has just had nothing but problems here tonight so far. But he's just trying to hang on, salvage as many points as he can possibly get, because there is an award for best of the rest, and right now Wren leading that standing. Thwaites, though, has now started to carve a little bit of a gap between himself and Lemke and company, but Ed Morris already out to about 17 and a half seconds in front of Thwaites, though. There you see Mike, the Pied Piper of Baltimore, Maryland. Double apex, so sketchy at times. Let's go on board with Mirando and see what he's saying. And unlike what we saw with Rominger during qualifying, you can see Mirando's trying to hustle that thing right now with his hands going back and forth, almost like he's punching a speed bag in boxing.
Mirando certainly working that wheel, looking like he's maybe just a touch uncomfortable in that dirty air behind the 35 machine. Of course, trying to learn where that 35's machine's braking zones and braking points are, so that he doesn't run into the back of that 35 machine, and just trying to kind of feel out the line and see where he can be a little bit quicker, make up some time to get around.
They come into the dreaded 2-2A section of track. Now into the double apex hairpin. And you can see it there. The track falls away and it's reverse camber. You know, you would expect the outside of the track to be higher. Here it's the inside of the track is higher. And you really have to tiptoe before you get able to open the taps here on the long straight.
Morondo looking to the outside to get this pass done down the long straight here, and Lemke in the 35 still to his inside. It looks like they will go 2x2 in through this turn here, and then, of course, into the S turns. Looks like Morondo having some issues. Maybe got back to the throttle a little early there, spun it around.
I think he had help. Let's go back and take a look at that one as we were on board. You see Morondo in the yellow truck that's orange. Oh yeah, there it was. Just a little door banging, and Osborne nowhere to go, trying to tiptoe his way through there. That's the one beauty of road courses is except for the stage caution, we're probably not going to see another yellow flag here tonight.
Cautions only, just warning drivers that potential issues in front of them, but drivers get their trucks back going with the stage caution coming up here shortly, give them an opportunity to get some of that damage fixed. But our leader, Ed Morris, certainly out to a gap now as he has almost a 20-second advantage over Thwaites as it stands at the moment.
And that's something we're looking forward to seeing. As here comes Morris to cross the line. That is the stage. And with that, there is your stage order. Morris, Thwaites, Osborne, Lemke, Morondo, Rominger, Driggins, Wren, Caldwell, and Calo in that order, as we only had 10 trucks in the session, so that's the good news, is everybody's getting a point tonight. Caution comes out. We are going to step away, pay a couple bills, and we'll be back right after this.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And we are back in Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. Mosport Park, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for race number 1 of the round of 8 here in the Ricmotech Truck Series. And Dave, what do you think we reach out to our stage 1 winner?
Love to hear what's on his mind, Tony.
If I can find him. Where is he? Oh, come on. There he is. And I believe you've got our Stage 1 winner with you now as Pit Road finally opens.
Ed, going to give you a second. Make sure you get this stopped, right?
Appreciate that.
Spot on for the prime time, number 7 into the box. And as I say that, he actually went a little too deep.
Too far right.
Well, dab
Too
gummit.
far right. Of course, we were
Yes,
talking
put me
about
under
that
some pressure there.
on the opposite side of pit road. Stage 1, great run there. Had plenty of time. Running most of that run on your own. Were you just hitting your marks there, seeing what the truck could do?
Yeah, I was just, I kind of got in the rhythm and just kind of stayed there. This track's all about just kind of being smooth, and the speed will come. So yeah, I was just focused on my marks and started running into a couple of slower lap traffic. So just being mindful of them and trying to get around those guys the best I could, and just doing my thing. Just out here driving.
Was great to watch, and you certainly hit your marks pretty well, had plenty of advantage, but now that the field gets restacked, and unfortunately there with the pit stop being just a little bit too far right, you got some work cut out for you. We'll let you get back to it, and good luck here on out to that checkered flag run.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
There you heard it. The chief cook and bottle washer here in the Ricmotech Truck Series, presented by Extreme Scoring, Ed Morris. And Dave, it's definitely going to change the way things are, because look who won the battle off pit road. The guy who started dead spanking last in this field, Chad Osborne, is now going to lead us to green as he sits +9. Please tell me I moved the right guy. Yeah, okay, I did. We may have lost.
Each of these
There he
drivers.
is.
Each of these drivers, of course, taking their moments, getting their service, and getting everything fixed on these machines. Looks like pit crews did struggle a little bit there, seeing at times a little bit higher than what we normally would. And, of course, some of that may be a little bit of driver nuance as well. Used to pulling into the box with the wall on my left and not quite knowing how far to the right or to the left I need to be in that box for the crews to get their work done.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these guys using this caution to get as much damage repaired as they can. Morando, Wren, and Rominger all getting some damage repaired here. But you hit the nail on the head when you said that the pit crews, some of them are struggling. 4 tires in fuel for both Osborne and Thwaites in a 15.0. And you compare that to Morris. Now, granted, Morrison chunked the entry, but still pretty respectable at 17.
Pretty good times out of these crews, but certainly a little bit slower from these crews, as we've seen 13.4s, 13.5s at times out of the oval setup. So certainly a little bit of an adjustment for these pit crews to make it, but doing a great job out there. Looking like times are competitive across all these pits, so getting the job done regardless.
Absolutely, but it's definitely not easy to try to pit one of these cars. As a guy that used to do it, I can tell you right now, it ain't easy. If it was easy, it'd be called my ex. Chad Osborne, Michael Thwaites, Justin Lemke, Ed Morris, Dylan Morando, and Mike Rominger all left on the lead lap. Josh Wren continues to run in 7th place. He's only 4 laps down, though, as Driggins has put it on the hauler, Caldwell has put it on the hauler, and so has David Clough in the 15. As here we go through the final couple turns excuse me, getting ready to fire these guys back off. Dave, why don't you bring us to green?
Pace car making that hard turn. 24 has the control here as we head towards the tower. Green flag is out. We are racing as the 24 puts that loud pedal down, makes its way down into turn run, has the advantage over the 12 machine, able to edge him out, get out front all on his own as everybody else behind him 2x2 through turn 1.
2x2, and especially back there, as that is a slugfest for fourth, and Morris goes off track, dirt tracking it. Two-way strikes again. And now Thwaites has problems.
Judging by the skid marks there on the track, Waits having some issues with that braking zone, getting a load up for 3.
Right now, Lemke and Morondo picking up right where they left off before that caution flew. Second and third is Osborne already out to a 1.5 second gap in front of these guys. Morondo just sends it, gets up into second, now sets his sights on trying to reel in Osborne. That's going to be yeoman's work, as Osborne was one of the fastest trucks on track just before that caution flew. He and Ed Morris were going back and forth between who was the faster on each lap.
Now we will certainly get the opportunity to see if Morris was holding anything back, as he has plenty of ground to make up if he wants to stay in contention here. Morondo and Lemke, as you mentioned, keeping that battle fresh from stage 1 there, nose to tail yet again. Now Lemke searching at the back bumper of that 27 machine to see if he can get any advantage and get things done.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander, and Lemke, tired of being the hunt id, becomes the hunter. But Morondo, not really paying no never mind to him, as he's holding the pretty wheel right now and, really turning the wick up. But a guy that's absolutely turned the wick up is Ed Morris, as he just went fastest in the first sector than anyone has gone all night, and that includes that qualifying and the hot lap session.
Certainly showing that he knows what he's doing here and working to get his way back up into contention with these leaders before the gaps start to widen before these trucks, and certainly laying down a quick time even after having issues there at a 1:30.9. So keep an eye on him, watch him to make his way up through the field here and get to the back bumper of Lemke and Morondo shortly.
There it is. First one to go sub 1 minute 24 here tonight. Morris, as Lemke's around. Morris just went 1:23.89. Let's go back and take a look at what happened to Justin. It's not normally where you have problems. He was coming out of turn 1 all sorts of sideways. Okay, he ate a lot of that rumble strip and then gets it into the grass trying to lay the power in. That doesn't work. As he caves in the nose of that Toyota, that is definitely not what he was looking to do. Go back to live action now. Thwaites and Rominger starting to heat things up a little bit. And Osborne fires back with a new fast lap of the race. 1:23.797. Wow.
He said, all right. Saw Morris lay down that quick time that he did and said, I have an answer for you. I am not going to sit here and watch you come up on me. I'm going to force you to race your way to me. Morris, of course, seeing that and laying down some fast laps as well. 124.25 last time.
And you can see he's steadily reeling in his teammate in the yellow Chevy that is orange. Never really understood that, but okay. Osborne, though, continues to show the way. As Morris continues to apply pressure to Mirondo. There you see Osborne flashing through the bottom of your screen. New fast lap for Morris. 123.313. Wow.
Morris now by his teammate of Mirondo, starting to hunt down Osborne in front of him. Osborne's certainly going to be keeping an eye on his rear view mirror, knowing that Morris is back there and is laying down fast lap after fast lap here.
They've traded back and forth between the last 3 laps between the two of them. It's quickly becoming a battle of wills.
Osborne having issues in the double apex hairpin turns the lead over to the 7 machine of Morris.
Well, that's definitely not what he wanted to do. Let's take a look at what happened to the TRD Tundra. Coming into that double apex. And the track falls away, and so does the back end on the 24. Heartbreak. Absolute heartbreak right now for Osborne. He had such a great run going, and now not so much. And Osborne's put it on the hauler. Calling no mas.
Morris, of course, back to the point then, leading the way here over teammate Mirondo, followed by Thwaites and Rominger. These guys not really having much of an answer for him in stage 1. Going to have to see if anybody can start laying down some long-term speed and catch their way up to the bumper of Morris here, as it looks like Mirondo is doing what he can just to keep him in his sights at the moment.
The only one left on track that's able to kind of keep pace with Morris is back there in third with the form of Thwaites. Is last time by, they were the 2 fastest trucks on track. As a matter of fact, Thwaites was faster than Morris. Last time by for Thwaites, 124.26. This lap, not quite as fast. Mirondo starting to skate the back end of that Chevy. That's not going to do him a lot of good. As we are now 20 to go, and Dave, real quick, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it from the stage caution to the end of the race just on that 1 tank of go fast, only 70% fuel fill tonight.
Was just going to mention, as we are just now at the halfway point, if I would guess on the fuel fill for these trucks, best estimate would be maybe 20 laps. We last hit around that lap 17. Some of these trucks coming in again for service on lap 18, topping off a little bit. I would have to think that would put them at just about 3 to 4 laps shy or so of where you'd really want to be. So expect these drivers to kind of split it up and want to get those fresh good years back onto the truck within the next 10 to 12 laps. Still give yourself some time to make up any lost positions, lost time on pit road.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right, because, that's the beauty of road racing. With as fast as these guys have been going, I don't think anybody has been saving fuel here in the opening laps of segment 2, or stage 2. But, I guess only time's going to tell. And we've seen weird things this season as far as fuel mileage goes. Just when you don't think it'll happen, it happens.
Drivers, of course, always showing us that we get our calculations a little bit wrong up here in the booth, but that's what makes it so great, right? We're out here kind of looking at these trucks, wondering why somebody might be pushing a little harder than normal, or why somebody might be a little slower than normal, and then come to find out fuel fill was just a little off our mark that we predicted. So drivers keeping us on our toes out there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always fun to be up here in the booth, and as much as I like to be right, I love it when these guys prove me wrong. All right, now taking a quick look at your running order. Ed Morris leads the way. There he is in the prime time number 7. His teammate at prime time, Dylan Mirondo, in the 27, right behind him. Michael Thwaite sitting in 3rd. Sideways coming out of 1. There's Rominger going through 1 right now, as the 4 sits in 4th. And last truck on the lead lap, the 35 of Justin Lemke. Chad Osborne has put it on the hauler. Josh Wren is currently in pit road, and he has a legitimate chance to get back by Osborne. So perseverance, just shows you that never say die attitude, and Wren going to come out of here with a 6th place finish.
14 machine, and of course the whole 14 team, of course, showing that resilience, getting what they can fixed on that truck despite having lots of issues tonight, all the way from the green flag flying up until this point. Just hasn't been handling the way he wants to, and just doing what he can to keep it on the track there. So props to that 14 team and trying to get it done, as we see our leader coming around yet again. Ed Morris leading the way here, out to a 6-second, almost 7-second advantage now over Michael Thwaites, the guy who has a chance to chase him down and is flirting right now with that sub 126 time.
Looks like Mirondo had an off-track adventure while we were talking about Josh Wren. Let's go back and take a look at what happened to the 27. And you see he's got his teammate in his sights. They come under the Continental Bridge into 2 and 2A. And just sketch. Bing bong. Mirondo overcooks it, going into the first part of that double apex. Just like that, Mirondo back to 3rd, Thwaites up to 2nd. Back live as we are 17 to go, and Wren now back out on track, getting some more damage repair. All Wren's got to do is just do 2 more laps. Oh no. Mirondo getting it wrong again. Here he is coming to the end of the back chute. Looks like a little too much rear brake for the 27.
maybe just not getting it wound up enough, hit those brakes a little too hard, and paid the price there as gets it back straight there. Wasn't too bad of an excursion off track. Certainly will cost him some time. And Ed Morris, of course, still leading the way. Thwaites behind. Morondo now under fire, of course, from Rominger and Lemke, who were able to get by him. So he has his work cut out for him, trying to make his way back up here and see if he can gain any positions before the checkered flag comes out here in another 16 laps or so.
Dylan Morondo has just spent more time off the racing surface than he has on it. As I go back and take a look at my timestamps, I count 4 off tracks in the past 3 laps. No, I'm sorry, 4 off tracks in the last 2 laps. And it's that double apex that keeps biting him. He's got to get that sorted out. As we are back to the usual suspects at the front of this thing, Ed Morris continues to lead. Michael Thwaites sits in second as Rominger and Lemke going after each other.
Currently our closest battle on track, and if there was any question of fuel mileage, you have to think that our leader would be slowing down a little bit. So potentially these trucks might have enough to make it to the end here, as it doesn't look like Morris is letting up at all, keeping those lap times pretty consistent around that 124 mark.
Absolutely. As we go take a look at the last 5 laps. Yeah. 24.5, 23.5, 24.9, 24.6, 24.3. Definitely one of the fastest trucks on track by over a second over the last couple of laps. You know, you compare that with Thwaites, who's in second. He was a 125.7 that last time by. Let's see what this lap looks like for Morris. That's a little more on pace with what everyone else is doing. As Thwaites comes across, not too far behind him. Morris still gaining, though. Second and 1.34 seconds, 1.39 seconds. Yeah, Morris is just showing off at this point.
Drivers doing what they can to make their way around this track. Certainly seen drivers struggle even here late in stage 2. We got 14 to go, and handling on these trucks just doesn't seem to quite be what it was in stage 1 during that initial run. So drivers going to have to keep that figured out. Certainly try to understand what's happening on the track here, make some adjustments if they can for that last stop.
Well, I can pretty much tell you what happened is we're about 10 degrees hotter than we were for qualifying. Actually 15 degrees hotter than we were for qualifying right now. As the track temperature has risen to 109 as we are closing in on, or just past 1 p.m. in sim time. And that 8-mile-an-hour wind still not too healthy. Gusting to 10 sometimes, but again, thank you so much for making us a part of your Monday evening. He's David Motorsport, I'm Tony Trapasso, and you are watching the Ricmotech Truck Series presented by Extreme Scoring. Race number 1 of the round of 8. Here from Bowmanville, Ontario, Mosport Park, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, whatever you want to refer to it as. It was Mosport when I was a kid. I'm always going to call it Mosport. But Dave, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to be up here, you know, especially, you know, later fall, like right around Labor Day weekend. You want to talk about some beautiful country. Bowmanville Canada is where it's at.
Canada, of course, being well known for having a very beautiful and mild 4 seasons for their weather. And as you mentioned, just the great north, right? Mm-hmm. Having the pure beauty of what it is like in the fall. Haven't made my way up to Canada yet for the fall weather, but then just shy of the border towards Niagara Falls there.
Ow.
I have to say, it really has me wanting to go back.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, I was able to spend a Labor Day weekend up here back in my youth, and just some of the most beautiful country you're ever going to see. I just went camping. You know, there wasn't any racing involved. It was just camping, spending time with friends around a fire, fishing in the streams. As Morando getting it all wrong, coming to the stripe, and that is definitely going to cost him. He currently sits in 5th, though, so there's the good news. And Josh Wren has now officially gotten by Chad Osborne. Wren runs in 6th as Morando goes off track again. And Michael Thwaites is on pit road.
Drivers looking at their last service here. We saw Lemke and Rominger down the last time by. Have to think that Morris is either holding out, knowing that he has quite a bit of a lead to sacrifice, or he will be in shortly to ensure that he has enough to make it to the end here.
No. He knows he doesn't really have a shot at Morris unless Morris gets it all wrong. But right now, Morris's lead is, if I'm seeing this right, it's only the pit delta. And Morris brings it pit side.
Morris in, and this will be interesting as his last pit line time, line to line, was 48 seconds. See if he can improve on that here. But if he holds the same, that will turn a lead over to Thwaites here, as Thwaites was about the 44-second mark back when he came into pit.
And that's about what it takes to go cone to cone here on pit road, is right around 44 seconds for 4 and fuel. Morris and company get it done in 40.97. That's going to let Morando get a reprieve and put him back on the lead lap, at least for now, as Morris now has to deal with Thwaites, as Thwaites has carved about 30 seconds out of that gap, and now only sits 14 seconds behind Morris.
Certainly the truck that is able to get it done, as we saw them putting down some competitive lap times with each other earlier. Just have to see if he has enough left in the truck and if Morris will make enough mistakes to allow him to catch back up here.
Well, Morris has to tiptoe around his teammate Morando, and that's definitely not what he was hoping to see in front of him, as here comes Thwaites. Thwaites is on a run right now. This is going to be a solid lap.
Fresh, good years of course back on that truck. Track temp dropping about 10 degrees from when we looked at it last. Now back down just under 100 degrees here. Clouds starting to cover some of this track. Get a little bit more grip and give them a chance to lay down that quick time.
And that's just it. It hasn't even been 4 laps, and we've already dropped 10 degrees. That's scary. But definitely thoughts and prayers going out to our friends and fans up there north of the border, as you know, those wildfires still continue to rage on in both Ontario and Quebec. And Dave, I don't know how far down you live, but I know here in upstate New York, I mean, you would need a chainsaw to cut through the air today.
Still not having the greatest air quality here either. And of course, as you mentioned, really just keeping my thoughts with those Canadians up there having to deal with it. If it's this bad down here, it has to be terrible there.
Oh, absolutely. But problems for your race leader, trying to hustle it, just flirting with that runoff curb there. 2A3 and into 4. And the double apex catching him out as he crests the hill. So all of that has let Rominger cut into that gap by about half.
Certainly costing him some time, but as long as he keeps the truck pointed in the right direction, doesn't have another large mistake here, we are 9 to go. Would be certainly very hard for Thwaites to make up that time with the laps we have remaining.
Not without a huge mistake out of Morris, you're absolutely right. But the good news for Thwaites is he's going to come out of here with a podium finish as long as he keeps the truck under him, because there is absolutely no pressure from behind. Justin Lemke, who sits in third, is 21 and a quarter seconds behind Thwaites. Matter of fact, there is Lemke, and you can see just how far back on the track he is. Coming into the 2, 2A, 3 complex, and into 4, a double apex. And I'm at the wrong end of the track, I think. No, I'm not. There we go. So definitely yeoman's work to try to reel in those front runners, as currently that man, Mike Rominger, is being scored as the final truck on the lead lap right now. And Mike told us last week he hates road courses. He was just hoping to survive here tonight, and survive he did. Holy cats. Look at that lap time for Ed Morris Jr. 1:23.205.
Certainly
Wow.
knew that those mistakes had cost him some time, wasting no time after having some issues to lay down another fast lap here, show Thwaites that, hey, if you want to catch up to me, I might make a mistake here and there, but I'm going to lay down some blazing fast lap times to make up for it.
Yeah, pack a lunch if you're hoping to catch him. But, you know, this is the MO that we've seen out of that Primetime 7 team all season. You know, they came into the playoffs as your regular season champion. Most wins on the season at 4, looking to make it number 5 tonight. But in 10 races, 10 top 10s. So,
very impressive way to run out the season here. And Morris, of course, getting it done in playoffs pretty well. It seems like week to week he was up in contention, if not on the podium, regardless of where we were throughout the regular season. And of course, in playoffs, being right up there again. So great to see number 7 really just working it. And we're 7 to go here. Looks like he shouldn't have any problem getting it done tonight at Motorsports Park.
and here's the thing with Morris. You know, it's not just a driver. He also admins this league. He's doing a ton of behind-the-scenes work for the league. He's building setups. He's, you know, making sure that everybody has at least a baseline that will work here. You know, week in and week out, he does that, as well as maintain the web page, maintain the points, and he's you know, one of the coders over at Extreme Scoring. And if you guys are looking for a new way to keep track of the points for your league, you need to look no further than Extreme Scoring. XMSracing.com for more information. But I mean, the interface for a league admin 1,000 times simpler than the other major service that keeps track of iRacing points. And they also have a paint program that is second to none. Absolutely second to none for that paint program. And that reminds me, I forgot to fire off the other paint program, as the one that I had been using, I actually hate. Okay. Okay, that's not going to work. That would be why I forgot to fire it off earlier. Again, folks, it's that whole CRS thing. You know, I'm getting to that point in my life where I'm lucky if I can remember what I had for breakfast. If it's not a obscure racing factoid from the 80s, 70s, 80s, or 90s, I'm lucky if I can remember that I put my shoes on this morning. But Ed Morris continuing to show the way here tonight at Motorsport, and that temperature, sun has peaked back out, and the temperature is going straight up. 106 track temperature now. And Morris gets it wrong.
Certainly have to think that track temp might have played into it. Waits, of course, looking to capitalize on any opportunity he can, closing that gap as quickly as he can as we are on our handshake lap here. 5 to go. Number one machine gets us back on track. Certainly still has a bit of an advantage. 5 seconds over Thwaites as we stand right now. As long as he hits his marks, shouldn't be an issue here.
He could take about 20% off her and still bring it home with the victory. Thwaites, though, doing everything he can, you know, except spit in the gas tank. There you see Thwaites. Thwaites can now see Morris. Thwaites can see him, so that's not comfortable for Morris at all because he's had his own way tonight for the most part. 5 to go. And every time Ed Morris has gotten into clean air, he has just walked this field. As there is Thwaites coming through the S's now. And Thwaites is reeling him in still. Did Thwaites save enough?
Waits keeping an eye on our leader here, and of course might have been saving some knowing that he didn't have much of an opportunity unless Morris made a mistake. So might be turning that wick up right now, doing everything he can to close that gap, knowing that he saved a little bit because he knew initially he couldn't make up enough time to catch our leader.
Well, with that problem that Morris had on the previous lap, that's allowed Thwaites to carve back a little over 8 seconds. 4 to go. And that little dot at the top of your screen, that's Morris. As Thwaites, again, can see him. For the first time in a long time, Thwaites can see Morris, and this could get interesting. Tiptoeing through the sweeper. Into the final 2 corners here. 3 to go. Morris continues to show the way.
Of course, our leader now working his way up towards lap traffic as well. So Thwaites doing everything he can here to lay a quick time. Loses it a little bit out of 1, but trying to keep it straight here. Navigates these lap cars and trying to hunt down that number 7 machine up in the lead. Lost just a touch of time going around those lap cars trying to get back on track.
Well, he had to snake through 2 of them that had gone off track in the form of Mike Rominger, who sits in 4th, and Dylan Morando in 5th. And now that leaves only Justin Lemke as his 3rd truck on the lead lap here tonight at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Ed Morris continuing to show the way as Morris gained a 2 tenths back, almost 2.5 tenths back on the previous lap over Thwaites. This ain't over until, you know, the proverbial fat lady sings.
Morris, of course, making his way through the S's down the front stretch here to take 2 to go. Popsicle sticks in the air.
2 laps to go. Morris just has to keep it dirty side down, and he can pretty much guarantee himself a victory here to kick off the round of 8. There is that primetime Chevy looking just about as clean as it did when it rolled off the hauler this morning. As Morris continues to whip that thing around like he designed this place himself. Morris, Thwaites, and Lemke, the only 3 trucks left on the lead lap, and Morris has turned the whip back up as he has now carved out a 6.5-second gap over Thwaites.
Morris, of course, knowing that he has to hit his marks here, but doesn't want to hit those marks on a slow pace. No, he wants to create as much of a gap as he can, show that he is the dominant truck here, and lay another quick lap time if he can, making his way back around here.
Absolutely. As he comes down the back chute with a good head of steam, up and over the hill he goes. And that is as tidy of a line as we have seen through that section of track all night long. 2 to go, coming through the final couple of corners here. Coming back onto the pit straight for the final, second to the final lap. White flag is out. We are racing back to checkers, Dave.
Ed Morris, of course, showing the way, knowing he just has to hit his marks here. Has a 5.5-second advantage over Thwaites in second right now. Thwaites, of course, having no issues at all, knowing that he has Lemke in the bag, has a full minute over him at the moment. Morris making his way through these turns for the final time, looking up the hill as he heads towards that final third, fourth complex, and then, of course, the double hairpin coming up down the long straightaway. Just a handful of turns left for Morris to go now, focusing on hitting all of his marks, making his way back to this checkered flag.
Right at the halfway mark of the lap, coming through that double apex and down the long back chute here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Morris with a good head of steam. Oh, tell me he's not going to do what I think he's going to do. He is on a ripper right now, Dave.
Certainly laying a very quick time from the looks of it. As you mentioned on the previous lap, keeping a real tidy line as he makes his way down into this S-curve for the final time, making his way around to the front pit straightaway. And he will be our winner tonight at Canadian Motorsports Park as he takes the checkered flag.
And it's Yahtzee for Ed Morris. Michael Thwaites comes across for third. We're still waiting on Rominger as he's coming down the back chute now. No, I'm sorry. Now he's coming into the double apex that leads onto the back chute. Pulls the trigger, and here we go. Lemke, the final truck on the lead lap. Rominger has already crossed, I think. Yes. So Rominger did finish a lap down. Mirando finishes a lap down. Lemke, the last truck, still running, coming through the final corners, coming up here. Through the sweeper, into the S's, and into the final corner for the final time. Lemke survives Motorsport Park in Canada, but how about the driver of the primetime number 7?
Seeing a little bit of everything tonight, and, you know, he was traffic there for the start of this second stint. Drove his way back through the field. Saw a little bit of issues out of him, but getting it done tonight. That number 7 machine really just leading the way, showing what had to be done, and can't say congrats enough. Ed, this is David up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, man.
Congrats on that win. Saw you absolutely blazing some lap times there towards the end. What was it like racing around this track all night long, knowing that you were so quick and really just nobody could keep up with you, it looked like?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of relaxing in a bit because, I had, it definitely relaxed me more during the race because I knew I didn't have to fight real hard. And, I ended up just kind of losing myself there and made a few mistakes, especially after that first stage, just in traffic after that pit stop and just trying to maintain there on cold tires and lost it a bit. But
Certainly
there was, go ahead. I'm sorry.
certainly saw a little bit of everything tonight, but you managed to get it done, and just great to see you out there tonight, Ed. Great win. How does it feel to know that you've punched your ticket to the finals?
That's good, man. Tonight was I'm pretty strong on road courses. I like running them, so I was pretty happy about this one and confident going into tonight. So yeah, we'll take the playoff points and go run for a championship.
All right. Well, we're going to give you this opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout outs before we let you go celebrate with your team.
Yeah, appreciate everybody here at Extreme Motorsports, our sponsors, Ricmotech and Racing Media. All these guys, you guys do a great job with the broadcast. Race Control, appreciate all you guys and all your hard work. And then all our fans and drivers and everybody here at Extreme Motorsports, Primetime Motorsports, appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Ed. Go enjoy that win.
Will do, man. Appreciate it.
So that was our race winner, Ed Morris. And joining me now, the man who gave him about as much pressure as he's had all night long in the closing laps of this piece, Michael Thwaites. Congratulations on opening the round of 8 here with a podium finish again.
I appreciate it, guys.
How difficult was it at times with the track temperature going up and down like a roller coaster, about as much as the elevation changes here at this track? How difficult was it at times to really get the corners right?
I mean, it wasn't any different than any other road course, to be honest, in my opinion.
Fair enough, but
Yeah.
Mike, you had some strong runs during the first round of the playoffs. Now you're opening it up with another podium finish, and we go into a couple of tracks that you've been very strong at in the past. As we go to Bristol next week, Michigan and Phoenix close out this season. Do you have anything for these guys in the closing 3 races?
I really hope so. Especially, I need to beat Ed. I can't let Ed keep beating me. I think I finished second to him almost every time he's won, maybe except for a couple times, but because he's won almost every race. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun. You said Bristol's next week?
Bristol is next week.
All right.
And it doesn't, I believe it's paved Bristol because I'm not seeing where it says dirt anywhere. So that's the good news.
Is it night or day?
Does not tell me.
Okay. Well, we'll find out, I guess. But yeah, that should be a good race, though.
Which would you prefer, night or day?
Night.
There you go.
I'm going to be honest, but we'll see. We'll see.
Michael Thwaites, who else you get it done on that number 12 Chevy?
Of course, my teammates with Primetime. Ed Morris, great league, great owner, great teammate, everything. Ricmotech's been a sponsor for a long time. Got to thank them. And you guys at SRM put on the broadcast.
Michael
great
Thwaites.
show.
Michael Thwaites, congratulations! Always a pleasure to talk to you. The Pride of Baltimore, Maryland, coming home, opening the first race of the Elite 8 with a podium finish, and we will see you next week at Bristol. And Dave, I believe you've got the...
Sounds good. Thank you.
I believe you've got a driver that we haven't spoken to in way too long, driver of the Dark Horse number 35, Justin Lemke.
Justin, this is David up in the booth. You got me?
Hello, gentlemen.
How you doing tonight? Great to see you on the podium. Saw you battling for quite a while there for that spot. Third, fourth, fifth position, going nose to tail, of course, there in the first stage. Tell me what it was like racing in some of that dirty air and, of course, fighting to keep those trucks behind you there early on in this race.
Yeah, I mean, it was really fun in the beginning. I thought there was a good 3 or 4 cars that are right around the same pace. I think my stuff fell off a little bit quicker than theirs, and I made a misjudgment, and when Dylan was on the side of me, I actually broke a little early and just carried too much speed into the turn, and I tried to stay off him, and I didn't. Kind of sent us all for a spin, and I know I damaged my car a little bit. I'm sure Dylan's was damaged, so wasn't my plan, but I'm happy with third. Yeah.
Certainly had some issues tonight, but you were able to get it done. Come home third. Who helps you get it done on that 35 machine?
Obviously, Dark Horse Racing. Gotta love my Toyota. Gotta thank obviously the leagues, XMS, and thank you guys for putting on a good show up there. And yeah, that's about it. I missed my teammate tonight. He's unable to make it the last couple of weeks, so I'm a little bummed in that aspect.
Well, you were able to get it done here tonight. Congrats again on making the podium. Strong start to this round 2 of playoffs. Good luck at Bristol next week when we head short track racing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And that is going to about do it for us here tonight from Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. And the beautiful layout that is Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in Mosport. Ed Morris, Michael Thwaites, Justin Lenku, we just spoke to those three gentlemen coming home with the podium finishes. Definitely going to improve their standings here in the playoffs. Rominger coming home in 4th, Barondo in 5th. Josh Wren was able to get by Chad Osborne for 6th. Osborne, unfortunately, had to put it on the hauler early, but he had one of the fastest trucks on track for most of tonight. Nick Caldwell in 9th. Eric Driggins in 8th, Nick Caldwell in 9th, and David Collot rounding out your field of starters here this evening. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have racing 7 nights a week here on Sim Racing Media. So hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single moment of action. And we've got a special one coming for you this coming Saturday as we have a 100% length Daytona 500 set to kick off at about 3:30 Eastern Time. He's David Motorspaw. I'm Tony Trapassa. Reminding ladies and gentlemen that until we get a chance to meet again, and as you walk down the road of life this week, do me a huge favor. Don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.
High-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go. Ricmotech.com.